everybody, and hi, Melissa.
Hi.
How
How
are
are you?
you?
I am fantastic. I'm feeling my bad self today. I got on my
Um,
bad outfit and I am so ready to have this conversation with you. This is going to be fantastic.
well, I'm very happy to talk to you again and again and again. I've said that the last time we were on together, you and I had first conversation during a networking event, and we got matched together like 3 times in the same event. And that was the beginning of the conversation that will never end, will never be done. And speaking of conversation, today, my segue, today we're going to talk about empathy in communication. Hello, Sharon. We're going to talk
Hey,
about empathy and how to use empathy. Well, Dr. Melissa here, smartest cookie that ever walked the earth, I think, um, is going to go into details as to why and why the brain is wired this way and all the good stuff. I don't know anything about that. But we're going to talk about empathy in communication and why that's important. And actually, we shared this today. We shared a quote that I want to share with you guys, and then I'll let Melissa take it away. And Melissa, tell the audience who the quote is from
George Bernard Shaw,
and
playwright extraordinaire.
what did he write?
I think he wrote The Taming of the Shrew. Well, like Shakespeare wrote it and then like he did something with it, I think.
Oh,
I am not 100% on
I
that.
put you on the spot right here, didn't I?
You did. So I could just be
Mhm.
making stuff up. You don't
Yeah,
really know.
I think you, yeah. Anyway, okay. So seriously, guys, the quote is this one, and it's a quote that I really, really care about. It is the biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it has taken place, because speaking and communicating is not the same thing. So, Melissa, take it away, dude.
All right. No, that when you pulled that quote out, it's fantastic because there's such a huge difference between communication where there's actually an interaction between people and just like blathering, you know?
Mm.
It's a process. Communication, I found this quote as well, that communication is a process that is interactive by
Mm.
nature and participatory at all levels. So just like blabbering out into the void is not communication. Part of the reason for that is because just like any other kind of communication, there is at least two sides, right? Interactive and participatory. So I like to think of it like a radio station for those of us that are oldies but goldies and like remember like the radio, tuning in. You would have the college radio station and it's sending signal, it is transmitting, but if you're not tuned into it, ain't nobody receiving. If you don't have a transmission and a reception, it's not communication. It's just noise. And it's so important to remember that. And that's
Yes.
precisely where empathy comes in. Because we made, the metaphor of the toaster and how what empathy is it's the thing that connects the leaders with their EQ skills. It's the thing that makes EQ possible. That's why I
Mhm.
push empathy so much, because that's what allows everything else to happen. So you can use your empathy cord to actually plug into communication, to connect with other people. I know I get excited, but it's just
That's
like,
okay. No, but it is important, and I want to say hello to everybody in the audience. Thank you for coming, Oli. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. I saw Kelly in there. Thank you all seriously for taking time out of your lives
yes,
to be with us tonight. We appreciate the both of us. We appreciate it very much. I'm speaking on your behalf, which we should never do, but I'm
you
pretty
can.
certain of what I'm. Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
of
you have permission.
what I'm saying, and we often, when we think about empathy in communication, we often think about, well, as a general rule, we kind of look at empathy as weakness. We've discussed that the last live. If you haven't seen it, go on our profiles. It's in the in our video section of our profile. But we see it, well, if I adapt my communication skills to the other person, then I'm compromising. If I make it about them, then I'm compromising. If I adapt to what that person, how this person needs to receive information, then I'm not being authentic. And nothing could be further from the truth. And I'd love to hear, Melissa, um, explain why that is, because there's something about empathy and the brain and the body and the connection between humans that is not um, a lack of authenticity or a lack of being genuine. So, what do you think of that?
That's the thing with empathy, is that it's something that we not only use to connect with other people, but you use it to connect with yourself. You've got to have self empathy. You've got to understand who you are, which then gives the authenticity. And authenticity is a word that, and I think you would agree with me on this, that's way overused to the point that it's lost its meaning.
Yes.
So I would rather say genuineness or humanity, or just
Yes.
be who you are, or whatever.
Yeah.
But the beauty of empathy is, if you have that connection with yourself, it actually allows you to reflect inward. One thing I talk about, it's self-reflection, but I say you reflect in, reflect on, and reflect after. So you reflect in the moment, while you're communicating, to say, are we communicating? Do I have everybody's attention? Everybody has my attention? Are we doing this correctly? You reflect on. So as you're doing it, you're also doing a high level. Is this working? Is this not working? What am I doing that I can do this better? And reflect after the point. Well, did I communicate? Did I get my point across? Was what I said accurately received, or did they just get static and white noise? So with empathy and with that self-reflection, then we can finally connect with other human beings. But first, you got to know yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's true of everything, right? To offer someone forgiveness, you have to forgive yourself. To offer to be generous with other people, you have to. It starts with us,
Yeah.
and I love that, because we need to start understanding ourselves better. And that's another, and I know why you said that earlier, is because I was a guest on a podcast yesterday, and I said that I despise the word authenticity just because it's been overused and stripped of its meaning.
Yeah.
I do prefer by far genuineness, for exactly that, because you can adapt yourself to the other person and still be genuine and
Yeah.
still be you and still show up as the magnificent, flawed, awesome. I call people flawsome, because we are flawed and we are awesome, and we
Yeah.
are as flawed as we are awesome. But in order to offer anything to the outside world, you have to offer it to yourself. And I will hear in my practice, I'll hear people say, "Oh yeah, I'm I'm a perfectionist, or I'm a this, or I'm a that," and kind of even making their generosity a flaw. Well, to me, that's a way of not giving it to themselves and pretending they're giving it to others. And I'm not saying, not by any stretch of the imagination, that they're doing this on purpose. It is a lack of knowledge of who they are. And I've said this in the show yesterday when I was the guest with Honey Richard, who was great. There's a 2018 Harvard study that says that between 86, I think, percent, around 86% of people think that they are extremely um, high, like they have high self-awareness, when in reality between 7 and 10% actually do.
Yeah.
So I find that a good way to know if you are actually self-aware is when you can absolutely react in a difficult situation without being taken over by your emotions. And
Yes.
now, people, guys in the audience, listen to me. Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say emotions was bad. I'm saying being overwhelmed by emotions.
Yes.
Emotions are important. They are there for a reason. They are there to tell you what's going on. But when you overreact on something, it's because it is triggering something inside of yourself that you haven't dealt with yet.
Yes.
And we all have those. All of us, you, me, everybody in the audience, everybody on this planet, we all have those. And when we talk about self awareness, you don't have exactly the life that you want. Exactly, like to a T. You have the house you want, the job you want, the career you want, the spouse you want, the kids you want. If the outside world is not exactly in accordance to who you are, it is because you don't know who that is.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
when you are aligned to who you are and you know yourself, the outside world is a reflection of that and not
Yes.
the other way around. I will repeat that message until my dying breath, hopefully at 153.
Or later. I think you might be around forever. You know, if the good die young, you and I could be around forever. Just saying.
Well, I, I used to say that all the time, right? I used to say only the good die young. I'm going to live till 153. That's
Uh,
where the 153 came from. Yeah. But it's yes, Ollie, thank you. Emotions are
yes.
not supposed to be driving you.
Right.
So if they are driving you, it's because you haven't tapped into what is being woken up,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I want to share a story if I can. A long, 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 long time ago, when I was like 17, I'm hot-blooded. That's a fact. Um, I'm French. Well, not French, but anyway, French speaking. Um, I had an overreaction to something that happened in my house, and I kind of took it out on a pound of ground beef. You know, the packet, the ground beef.
Yeah, I want to hear how you took it out on a pound of
Okay.
ground beef.
Oh, I was extremely upset. I wasn't upset with the ground beef. I was extremely upset. Something had triggered me. I eventually did find out why. Um, but I went to cook my dinner. I was with the boyfriend of the time, and when I saw that the pound of ground beef was past its due date, I declared World War III. I seriously did. My boyfriend Simon, if I know he's not listening, he's not on LinkedIn, but Simon, God bless you for being so bloody patient with me. I really declared World War III on this pound of ground beef. And it became the way that he would tell me when I was exaggerating. So from that moment on, every time I would make a big deal out of something extremely small, he would say, Isabel, it's not a pound of ground beef. So the reason I'm sharing this story is because sometimes we give a $5,000 punishment to a $50 crime.
Yeah.
And that is how you realize that something about yourself you haven't figured out yet. It's not the other people pissing you off in your life. That's not what that is. It is about you being triggered.
Yes.
And that's when empathy can help you.
Both
So
for yourself and the other person.
thank you. Hot damn and hallelujah. Oh, see, that's why I hang out with you, because you're just so smart. So somebody in the audience a little bit earlier asked, well, then how do you develop these skills? And we tapped into that a little bit
Mm-hmm.
last show 2 weeks ago, but I'm going to let you take it away because that's very important.
It is, actually. I'm going to respond to what you said first, and then I am happy to address that,
Thank you.
because I think what you said really gets to the heart of why we have these issues, especially with leadership. I mean, the fact that we're talking about the strength to connect and the courage to have empathy, starting with yourself. Because if you're reflecting on yourself, you're taking the chance that you're going to see something that you don't want to see. And that's life. I mean, life is balance. Life is yin and yang. Always. It just is. And there is nobody on this earth that doesn't have some darkness to go with the light, some sweet to go with the salty. It's everywhere. So the first thing you have got to do is be able to look inward and have the courage to say, you know, I like this. And in our society, that's hard too, to be able to say, yeah, I do like this. I don't have to be self-effacing. I don't have to pretend to be humble because I'm not being arrogant. I'm just saying what is. But I don't like this so much. I have the courage to face it. And because I can face it, now I have the courage to change it.
Hmm.
But you have to have the strength to be able to do that. You've got to have the courage to look inward. And here's where that hard and soft comes in, because you have to have the courage to allow yourself to be vulnerable. And that's hard. Brene Brown says vulnerability is the first thing we look for in other people, but the last thing we want to show for ourselves. And
Yes.
especially for those in a leadership position, it can be
Yes.
misconstrued, just like empathy, as being weak. When the truth
Yeah.
of the matter is,
Badass.
yes,
Badass.
if you don't, there's just, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
That was
how?
that was the question. Thank you for the question. That was the
Yes,
question that I wanted us to address, because that's the only question that we've gotten so far. And by the way, guys, don't be shy. Ask us questions. We'll if we don't know, we're not going to pretend. Okay?
we don't bite.
We don't bite. Well,
We don't
hard.
bite.
Ask Mike. Ask Mike if I bite. No. No.
Mike's
I
wild. I don't know.
He never takes what I say seriously anyway, so that's okay. And by the way, while we're talking about Mike, let's do a shameless plug about the Hands of Business community. Guys, seriously, listen to me.
Yeah.
If you don't know the Hands, get to know us. We're pretty damn cool. And it's the heart-centered community that show up for one another for real, not just on paper, and meaningful comments on posts, and much, 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 much more, and fantastic collaboration like Melissa and I are doing, like Melissa is doing with somebody else on last night, and like the wonderful Sindel, shameless plug again, that's running the back end of this show. Guys, seriously, if you don't know the Hounds of Business community, come join us. Hey, Sindel adjusted herself just like that. She's a pro, dude. So, out
Yes.
of my shameless plug, I'm going to zoom myself out. Go ahead. What was the answer to that question?
So communication, the big trick is that you've got to make connection. So if you're talking to somebody, it has to be interactive and participatory by all parties. So if you're talking to somebody and that person, you can look at them and say, I don't get what you're saying. It's up to you to say, okay, now this is what I think I've said. What did you hear? One of the best ways to improve communication just like the best way to improve human interaction is to tap into that empathy and tap into the emotion. And there's different ways to connect with different parts of the brain. Like, for instance, if I look at you and I say, so what would be your parameters for success? You might say, I want an ROI of this, and I want a margin of this, and I want this many customers, and I want it done in the first quarter. And
Yep.
I heard nothing.
Yes.
At ROI, I checked out and I'm making my grocery list in my head.
It's like what was the Charlie Brown?
Yeah. Wah, wah.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Exactly.
hearing. When you said all of this, that's what I'm hearing. Yep.
Yeah. But
However,
what if I look at you and I say, paint me a picture of success? You've now created something visual. Because one thing we do know about all people is they don't learn and they don't communicate in the same way. You have auditory learners, you have kinesthetic learners, you have visual learners, and there's others. I mean, everybody's different. So
yes.
you have to be able to adapt. And that's one way to do that. Paint me a picture of success. Show me what you mean. Don't just tell me, give me an image. And all of a sudden, all of that clears up because you've made that communication connection. You've put the plug in to connect the wall socket to the toaster of EQ or whatever. For those of you that missed the last time, you can go back to the first show.
No, but you're right. And the other thing that I would say, and I share that again, for the people that watched the show with Melanie Richard yesterday, I shared a story about this woman. I'm going to make it a little bit shorter, but I shared a story yesterday on Melanie Richard's show about the lady who wanted her kitchen renovated. So 37 years she's been living in her house. She hates the kitchen. She's been hating the kitchen since day one. She bugs her husband. She's a housewife. She doesn't control the money. I'm not going to get into that because then I'm going to get mad. She begs her husband. She bugs her husband. She nags her husband. She does everything that she possibly can to get that goddamn kitchen. And the answer is no, 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 for 37 years. So, the kids' school, the kids' marriage, the helping them buy a house, whatever. He always had a good reason. For him, he always had a good reason. She wants her kitchen. Her kitchen is bad, not enough counter space, not enough, whatever. Okay. Storage, whatever.
Yeah.
Until somebody tells her, make it about him. What does he want? What does he do? What is he like? Why is he saying no? He must have a good reason to say no, right? So find out. Make it about him. So what does he want? Oh, well, he loves to fish. And actually, when he retires, we're going to move to the cottage. We have a beautiful little shack close to a lake, and we're going to, make it bigger and make it nicer and blah, 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 and improve that kitchen. And so he doesn't want to spend the money. And then the communication expert says, yes, but like, would the house sell faster if the kitchen was renovated? And would the house sell for a higher price than the price of the renovation? And he would actually get not only an ROI, but more than just the ROI. Like what? Well, of course, she did all of her homework and she got her brand spanking new kitchen, even if they only had, 6-7 years to live in the house. Yeah. Why? Because she made it about him. And in my business, I coach leaders to deal with employees, and especially rebellious employees. And I don't know why that is. That might be because I'm a tad rebellious. But seriously, what comes up the most often is they don't listen. No, because you're making it about you and your needs and what you want. Make it about them. So that regardless if it's a rebellious employee or the greatest, most obedient person in the world, or your wife, your kids, your spouse, Communication is the same thing,
Yes.
regardless of who you are talking with. Make it about them.
Yes.
And when it becomes about them, see how quickly they're going to give you what you want. Because
Yes.
they're going to see the value for themselves. Everybody's selfish, people. I am. I'm absolutely no, I got no shame in saying that I'm self-involved. It doesn't mean that I'm not generous, that I can't show up for others. But I want what I want, and I want it. And
Yeah.
I don't even try to justify why I want it. I want it because I want it, and because it's part of the human experience, and I want it, and that's it.
Yeah. And there's
So
nothing
when
to defend that for you. You
no,
are allowed to do
no,
that.
no,
Yeah.
that's true. And actually, there's a great book again. Sidebar. Hey, it's my turn to plug books for once. There's a great book written by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who wrote 10x is easier than 2x. That's fabulous, by the way. That wrote Your Future Self Now. That's also fabulous. And this book is called The Gap in the Gain. And
Uh-huh.
that's exactly what it says, is stop justifying things that you want. You're allowed to want what you want just because.
Yes.
And when you need to justify yourself, you're not in the gain, you're in the gap. And some people around you might want to keep you in the gap. And the gap is always being focused on what's missing.
Yes.
Yes, but the target for this semester was this, and we didn't achieve this. And even in our personal lives, we do that all of the time. I'm not where I thought I would be at this age. Have you ever heard that? I've heard that literally from everybody.
Yes.
I've said that, oh my God, so often it's not even funny. But when you're comparing yourself to the ideal, you're in the gap. You're concentrating on what's missing. You're not concentrated on what you've done and how much you've grown and everything that you've learned.
Yes.
Because when you aim for the horizon, guess what, guys? You're never going to reach it. That's the ideal.
No.
It's the direction. It's not the destination that counts, right? But
Yes.
when you're in the gap, the gain is just you're looking back and you're comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, and what did you learn from yesterday, and what did you fix, and what did you overcome, and how much, if we want to stay on theme, how much empathy were you able to show yourself and say,
Yes.
you know what, maybe I effed up in my project, but I did the best that I could until I knew
Yes.
better, and then I did better,
Yes.
right?
Did the best you could at the time with the tools that were available to you. And that's it. And you show self empathy. Absolutely.
Yes.
Precisely.
I love
I,
that quote from Maya Angelou. I love that quote. You- We we can't just keep on beating ourselves up for being human.
no. Well, number one, ideal and perfection is an illusion. So you're trying to chase something that isn't real to begin with. So how about we let that go out the door with dragons and the tooth fairy and other things that we may have
Of
thought was
course.
pretty cool at one time, but we had to let go. Well, I don't know. I
Yeah.
haven't let go of the tooth fairy thing. I just haven't lost any teeth in a while. But I don't know. As you get older, she may show back up or here or whatever. I don't know. But I mean, seriously, why chase an ideal that isn't
Yeah.
real? Why not
Yeah.
be who you are? Because there's only one.
Yes.
There's only one. Why
Amen.
not love that one?
Yeah. Amen. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to go a little
Sorry,
with
Jason.
not
Okay.
dragons. Oh, Jason, we love you, buddy. Thank you for being here. And yeah, thank you for everybody. A whole lot of people showed up. Thank you, guys. Seriously,
Yeah.
Mike, you have enough on your plate. You don't have to be here. Mind you, we love you. We appreciate you being here. It's just
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart and Melissa's heart, I'm guessing.
I
I
think I
don't want
have
to.
one. I'm not
No, no,
sure.
no, no, no. I didn't say silly
I might have
rabbit.
left it somewhere.
I wasn't saying that for that, silly. I was saying that because I didn't want to speak for you because you're quite capable of doing it by yourself and you're actually quite eloquent. Yes, silly rabbit.
Well,
Um,
do you
I
mind if I actually jump off of what you just said?
Oh, please.
I mean, talking about the empathy and leadership, because one thing that leaders really like to do for the most part is they love to be the hero. I want to be the hero. I'm going to lead up the hill. I'm going to sword going, and I'm going to be the best leader in the entire world since, I don't know, Julius Caesar, although he didn't end very well, but you get my point. So, but what these leaders need to remember is that you're going to get so much more done as the helper. So you want to be in that helper role. And that means empathetically being able to talk to your people and say, how can I help you? What can we do to make this happen together?
Yes.
Show me how I can make things better so that our entire team can work better. And I want you thinking about that because you are the dream team creator. You're the woman for that. But we
Yes.
get this, you know, I mean, it goes back to all my days in music, and you're an opera fan, right? I mean, you have
Yes.
for every Don Quixote who's going to charge up the hill and is half crazy, you got a Sancho Panza going, I don't know, boss. I'm not sure that's such a good idea. And as a leader, I want those kind of helpers, which means I want to be the helper.
Yeah.
I don't need to be the hero. In fact, I don't really care. I would rather have a team and work as a team. If you're going to work as a team, you get to pull the best out of everybody. You get
Yes.
the best of the whole world. So
Yes.
why do I want to pretend that I can do that by myself?
Yeah.
I mean,
And
you've built
and
dream teams.
yeah, well, and I was just gonna say, and Cuba, I just dropped something. Every freaking live stream, I drop something. Actually, my post today was literally about that. Literally.
Yes.
So what's the leader? Is that, the guy in front saying, "Let's go, guys, let's go"? Is it the person to the side, encouraging people to just pass? Is it the guy in the back, support guy or girl, guys? Okay, no, it's just an expression,
Yeah.
just pushing people forward, or is the leader in the middle trying to support, encourage, and the reality is all of these things.
Yes.
And the difference between a good leader and a great leader is the great leader is going to adapt their leadership style for every single individual, guys.
Yes.
So that's what I do for a living. And that's how great teams are created, because they're not created by the leader, they're created by the people
Yes.
inside. And when you deal with all of that, the infighting stops. Oh yeah, but he got the it all stops because they start understanding one another and seeing the humanity in one another and using empathy to understand one another and support one another. So teams is not about going rock climbing. Mind you, I don't have anything against team building activities, but it's not about that.
Yes.
It's about tapping into the unique abilities of every single person, adapting the communication style, the leadership style, the kind of task that you give people that makes them feel seen, heard, valued. And
Yes.
then you know what? They no longer have time to start bitching about this one in the corner office because they're too busy doing the work they actually like. That's how you create a great team.
You want to hear
Period.
something funny about leadership?
Please do.
So they have all these leadership theories out there, right? I mean, that's what my doctorate is in. I'm doing interdisciplinary leadership
Yes.
because it doesn't get much more nerdy than that, other than if I really was going to go like do underwater basket weaving for third graders or something. So I might as well just go all out. But so you study all these different leadership theories, and there is charismatic leadership where, you know, you have that person that drives, and unfortunately these kind of leaders tend to become cult leaders. And you have transformational leadership, which on the dark side is called pseudo transformational leadership, and there are leaders like Hitler that can drag big groups of people to really ugly ends.
Not a
But there,
guy, not a nice guy, this guy, right?
no, by no means. And they're the servant leadership, which we hear about a lot, but people don't really embody. They that's another one of those words that gets thrown around a lot, but people don't really know what it is. But there is a leadership style for what you're talking about, and it's actually called situational leadership. It's a thing. It's real, and I don't understand why more people don't do it. I could teach it. I have a book. I could teach it. I would be happy to teach it. But I mean,
literally what I do for a living.
Exactly.
Shameless plug.
And you do it well with all
Thank
the
you,
Nova stuff you've got going on. I
Thank
mean, that's a tool to be able to teach people how their communication
Yes.
styles work and how it
Yes.
interacts. And, you know, I mean, I know you put a lot of effort into that. Plug it.
Oh no, I just did. I didn't even. No, it was a shameless plug.
Good.
Yeah, and you know, showing that I'm due for purple. I need a purple adjustment. Oh, what'd you do with my hair? Damn, Jesus. Yes, but it is about adaptability, and but it it doesn't matter if it's in. Of course, it is what I do for a living, but it doesn't matter because that's not about that. It's about it's showing empathy and showing empathy for yourself. We spoke about that, but showing empathy for others is actually how you get what you want. I mean, and it's free. Seriously, it's free. You can get what you want by
Yes.
tapping into the humanity of the other person and recognizing the other person.
Yes. And you
Th-
build loyalty. And people will do for someone that's a friend things that they won't do for someone that they just see as yet another Montgomery Burns boss. And I know that's like my archetype, but I mean, you see him on The Simpsons, right? And that guy, you
Is it
know,
still on, by the way? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think it's still on. I
I
think
think
it's,
it was Bart's like 47.
yeah, it started in 1989.
I know. When I was in high school. Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
I graduated that year.
Mm,
What? I'm older than you? Jeez Louise,
not by
no.
much, by
Okay,
very little.
it's
And the
okay.
older we get, the closer the gap is.
Yeah, but I think that towards sorry, I don't mean to start sounding depressing, but I think that towards, you know, like 80s, then it builds up again. You know, because there's a big difference between a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old. And there isn't a lot of a difference between a 40-year-old and a 45-year-old. But there's a big difference between being 85 and 90. So it goes back, right? So, which by the way, my dad's turning 85 soon, like in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
85, mother.
Well, isn't it nice that we're in a holding pattern? We're not actually getting older, we're just getting better. Like Sierra. Sierra just had a birthday too.
He was 40, 47. And next week, oh, by the way, next week, I'm going to say this publicly. Next week, not only is it Susanna Dawn's birthday, it is Sindel's birthday. I
24 again, right, Sindel?
think, yes, I think she didn't want me to share. If that's the case, well, maybe I just lost my producer.
Birthdays
No,
are
but seriously,
they're an opportunity for us to celebrate the day
ex-
that someone we adore came to Earth.
exactly. But let's get back to topic because
Yes.
I
Yes.
can
I know. I know. It kind of went
I
like that.
can yippee, yes, indeed. So What else do we need to know? Like on this very serious note, what else do we need to know to communicate better?
You know, understanding what actually goes into decent communication, understanding the ingredients, right? Because first you can cognitively get it and then you start enacting it and actually are able to add the feelings to it. So it's kind of like how we've broken down empathy and there's actually 3 steps to it, right? That first someone is feeling an emotion that you in turn pick up on and you feel discomfort because of it. That's the second step, but without taking responsibility for it. And that comes back to the you don't want to be overloaded. You're not taking their emotions on, you're just understanding where they're coming from. And then because
Mm-hmm.
of that, you practice compassion, which is empathy in motion. And that's what it is. In the same way, we can think about communication. So, first is listening, and it's not passive listening, it's active listening. That's the participatory part. And the trick is both parties should be listening. It's not one person having at it and the other person just going, today on my way home from the store, I'm picking up cabbage and cheese and bread and cat food. I mean, that's what happens. So there's active listening going on both parts. That's how you end up with a human connection because you're understanding where each other are at. The next thing for both parties is acknowledgement. I hear what you're saying. Can you paint me a better picture of what that looks like? I absolutely can. And now that I've re-explained it, does that make more sense? What other details can I give you? Both sides are acknowledging. We get this idea that it's like one person talks and one person listens and one person acknowledges and one person, and it's not. It's not a back and forth. It's a matrix. Always. The next thing is to make sure you have care, which is to say, all right, did that make sense? Do you understand? Or is there something I can do to make it clear? And I need you to tell me. I need you to talk to me. I need you to absolutely make clear to me what I did and didn't do, right? Reflect in, reflect on, reflect after. Help me do this better and help me do it better for you. Help me adapt this so that I can be sure this is going to you. I care about you and I care about this communication. Let's really do this so that we do this well, and then we can do it again. And then you take action on the communication. Then once the transmission and the reception is done by both sides, everybody cares about what was said and how this works and what it means. We've discussed it to a certain point. You know, as a leader, sometimes you have to make a certain amount of decisions, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have care and interaction with what's actually happening. Then you take action, not before.
Yeah, I understand that in a work setting, some leaders would say, yes, but at some point, I'm gonna have to take a decision and I'm just gonna have to convey what the decision is,
Mm-hmm.
and that's gonna be that. And I totally get that because I get that with my leaders saying, well, the decisions that I take, especially if their teams are big, the decisions I take, half of them, like, half of them are not going to care, and they're just going to do as they're told. And
Yeah.
out of the other half, 40% are going to, go, well, yeah, I disagree, but I'll do it anyway. And 10% are going to disagree and try to either fight it or, so how would you communicate to that 10% that really are in total opposition? It's not only that they disagree, they're in opposition
Yes.
of the leader's decision. And but you still, as a leader, I mean, yes, being a leader is supporting the people that do the job. Being a leader is not about doing the job or having the job done.
Yes.
Totally agree with that. However, at some point, the job does need to be done.
Yes.
So how do they address that 10%?
So I don't know if you know this. I actually do some change management too. I've been involved in
Ah,
change management for a while because
shameless plug. Go. Tell us.
it's
Tell
the
No, seriously,
people.
I didn't know that. So tell
Yeah.
us. What is
Yeah.
that?
It's the people side of change. If you have project management, you have change management that goes along with it to be able to usher people through these changes, just like that. Big company changes, software changes. It could just be getting a project through. It might be a massive system-wide thing. But that's what change management does, is it looks at the people side of change. And what you're saying is absolutely spot on. These are the groups that you do deal with. So the best way that your sponsor or your leader can actually deal with that is to make sure everyone has been heard. Yes, at a certain point, you are going to have to fish or cut bait, as my dad would say, and make a decision.
Yeah.
That's part of leadership. And it may
Yes.
even be one that's unpopular.
Yes.
But if you can make sure you explain, I've talked to people, I've listened to what was heard, I've heard your concerns, we've decided to go this route, and this is why. And because I am really trying to make sure that I'm doing the best I can for everybody, I would ask you to put our differences aside and to come and help me with this, because right now on this project, I need your loyalty and I need your support, because we're all in this together.
Damn, you're good. Seriously.
Yeah. Can you talk about this?
I love this. I'm gonna use this.
It's all yours. I bestow it upon you, Isabel Fortin.
Oh, finally, I got some inside. No, but seriously, I love this because, Christine,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. This show is not about this, but I'm not sure how I would have. It hasn't happened to me yet, but mind you, I don't deal with that aspect of leadership, right? So I'm not sure I would have been equipped to answer my own question, which is the reason I asked you, because you're way smarter than I am.
No, by no means.
No, seriously, dude. If I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. You don't learn by being the smartest person in the room. So I make it a point to never be the smartest person around, because I want to learn, and that's how you learn. It just you have to put the ego and put it on the shelf and say there stay and go out in the world and don't care to look foolish. But yeah, I am no, I love that. I really love that. So I do want you to plug what you're doing, because I'm your friend. I've been your friend for a little bit, and I didn't know that you did that. So talk about that, would you? What do you do, like, as far as change is concerned?
So with change management, how it worked is my husband and I actually started doing some consulting. And when you have two people doing everything, you don't wear a lot of hats, you wear all the hats. So between the two of us, we started stacking stuff up, and change management was one of the things I did. I have my SHRM CP, which is Society for Human Resource Management, general practitioner kind of thing. And I wanted to deal with the people. That's the side of, and the numbers. I have a master's in data analytics too, so which is this polar opposite. So you can
How long have you been in school?
Seriously, about 100,000 years.
Okay, and $100,000.
Luckily, a lot of it's been on scholarship.
Woohoo! Congrats, well deserved. Well
I can hustle. I know how to hustle.
Good girl.
So the change management kind of came out of that, and it's such an awesome thing to do, because you go into these organizations where people are just tired of change, or having change that's been executed badly. According to the Association for Change Management Professionals, which is kind of our overarching body, 70% of change initiatives fail.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
Well, why sink millions and millions of dollars into this so that you can just watch it swirl the bowl, because you haven't bothered with the people side of it?
Yes. And actually, I'm gonna bounce, and it has nothing to do with what I do in English. And I'm not only bilingual. I have a bilingual brain. So there are certain things I cannot do in English and I can only do in French. And there's certainly things that I can only do in French and I can't do in English.
Mhm.
And part of my business here locally, part of my business, it's called the H factor, and that's human factor, is I deal with businesses, transaction businesses. So the seller of a business and the buyer of a business. So not products, the actual business. And when they get that, for an expensive, for like $4, $5, $6 million company, before they even buy the company, they're gonna drop $100,000 on research, on dealing with the taxes, on dealing with the numbers, on dealing with having the value of the company really profoundly looked in, and saying, okay, so this is how much inventory, this is their overhead, this is that, and so this is how much this company is for the financing, the lawyers, so with
Yeah.
all of that,
Yeah.
after being able to borrow enough money to be to buy the company, after that reason, for money uh situation, the number one reason transaction fail, 9 out of 10, is a human factor. Is
Yes.
seller did not agree with buyer, and seller at the last minute. And I've had a client not too long ago. Actually, he wasn't my client. He was somebody from my client, but the buyer dropped $100,000, and 2 days before signing the legal papers, the seller said, I'm not selling my company to this jackass. His words. I would never use these words, but I don't know. Nobody in the audience believes me, but that's okay. Um,
It's
so,
authentic.
so I know. So I started a company en français and only en français. Um, that's called le facteur H, so the human factor. So what I do is I do the assessment of the buyer and the assessment of the seller, and then I do debrief individually, and then I put these two together, or sometimes there are four and sometimes there are seven, because sometimes there are three partners selling to four partners or whatever. And then I put all of these people together and I said, this is how you guys are going to understand one another. Because if you're going to, I don't know about you, but me, if I'm going to put down $100,000 on the table, I want the transaction to go through.
Yes.
But you know what? There's literally nobody that does that except me, because they think about the money, they think about the accounting, they think about borrowing the money, and are they capable, and how much money can they borrow, and who are they going to put in place, and
Yep.
what's the legal aspect of buying this company or selling this company, and how much taxes I'm gonna. But nobody talks about the humans inside the
Yes.
transaction, and what a colossal mistake.
Yes.
It's a colossal mistake. It's unbelievable that nobody thinks about that. I'm
Yes.
dumbfounded.
Yes. And you're absolutely right. And I'm glad that you're championing
Oh,
this.
I can't help you with that word.
I know I'm monolingual and I'm still messing stuff up.
Are you not? You are monolingual. You don't even speak Italian, chica. You lived in Rome.
I did. I used to speak Italian, and to get to my first doctorate, I had to read in 3 languages. So I can read French. I just
Okay.
speak it like a mushmouth.
Well,
Well,
si tu peux lire, je te parle plus jamais en anglais.
something about I love English.
I just no. I just said if you can read French, I'm never speaking to you in English. No, no, no. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Listen, we're coming up to an hour, and we're going to be very
No.
respectful of everybody's time. So it is time for our shameless plug. If you don't like us enough to stay for the last 5 minutes, you're welcome to go. Melissa, Who are you? What do you do for a living? How can we get a hold of you? And how can you help them?
Absolutely. I am the empathy lady, except when Kevin Moreau is around because he says I'm the empathy queen. But I already have a nerd crown, so I can't have an empathy crown because I'm going to end up stacking them, and it's just going to be gauche. It will be gauche.
Oh,
So that's what I do is I teach leaders how to access those emotional intelligence skills that actually lead them into the next century. This is the future. I mean,
mm-hmm.
there have been studies that show that you can raise innovation by 87%, creativity by 87%, and Montgomery Burns, profit by 82%. And the beauty is, most of the time, these people have empathy. So, what I do is teach them how to make it actionable so that they can tap into that. That's what I do. And, I would love all the support I can get. Here's my shameless plug
There you
because
go.
I have a book coming out in the fall.
Whoa! When?
It'll be in the fall. I don't know exactly for sure yet when, but you'll be the
Okay.
second to know right after me.
Woohoo! Wonderful. And we're going to have to do another great show where we're going to continue this. We haven't decided if we haven't decided at what, like we did one 2 weeks ago. We're going to do much, much more in the future, but it's not going to be a weekly thing. Sometimes it's going to be 2 weeks. Sometimes it's going to be 3 because Chica over here is working on a PhD, and apparently that's kind of difficult to do, and that's why I didn't. And that's why I'm never gonna. And I'm very comfortable with that. So seriously, but do watch out for us because we are going to come back every 2 or 3 weeks, and it's always going to be linked to empathy and either communication or leadership, or because we're there's so much to talk about, seriously. And here's my shameless plug. I am the leadership team building queen. See, that's my new title.
Nice. I like it.
Yes.
But
And it is my motto is against ordinary. I want you to be an extraordinary leader, and I want you to build extraordinary teams, and I want you as a leader to be able to draw out the extraordinary out of your team, because we're all fabulous, and all of us, we are unique, and we all have unique abilities. And when you draw that out of people, that's how they show up as themselves. Because the last thing you want to do as a leader is create an environment where your employees leave their best and greatest and most innovative ideas in their car in your parking lot. You want them to bring this innovation and this creativity and put it in the service of your company. But in order to do that, they need you to adapt to them and not the other way around. And that's why Melissa and I do what we do, and we do it together because we love coming on and speaking to you together, because we love spending time together. And I'm not going to go into this, but next time we're going to tap into why Mozart was a badass.
excellent.
And
He
I
was.
believe, strongly, strongly, strongly believe that Mozart reincarnated and became Prince. But that's all I'm saying. Guys, thank you so much. All the Hounds member, everybody else that's not a Hounds, you are welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening to us for an hour. Sindel, you are the best. I love you,
Yes.
Chica. Thank you for being here, running the back end of the show, and offering to do that without me having to ask. Guys, if you're looking for an executive assistant, DM me and I'll put you in touch with Sindel. She is fabulous, fabulous. And I'm not this easy to please. Trust me, when it comes to these things, I'm not that I'm pretty hard to please, actually. So if I say Sindel is the greatest, that's because she's the greatest. Thank you again for all your time. We appreciate you, and we'll see you in about 2 weeks. Tomorrow, 7. Don't miss out the Hounds of Business Community Show, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on LinkedIn and on YouTube. Bye, guys.
Bye.